here in our upstairs kiln room today, and I am going to review the Skutt KMT1022. So let's break down the name of this kiln, and I think it'll be helpful so you can compare one Skutt kiln to another. KM stands for Kiln Master. That's this right here, their famous kiln controller. It's actually a Bartlett controller, but they've done a great job designing the interface to make it easy to use. It's one of the reasons I think teachers love it so much. You find a lot of Skutt kilns in schools. So if you find a Skutt kiln, or you're looking to buy one, and it starts with KM, that stands for Kiln Master. Now, their newest controller is here, the KMT, and it's not hooked up to anything, so you can't see the control pad. But look at it. It looks like a tablet or an iPhone on your kiln. It's phenomenal, and we'll do a separate review of the actual controller to get more in depth here. And if you've ever seen a Skutt kiln with KS on it, that stands for Kiln Sitter. So the 10 represents the number of sides of your kiln. So in this case, it's 10-sided, so that represents a 23-inch diameter. And the 22 is the depth of the kiln. Most kilns in the United States, at least, are made with bricks that are 9 inches by 4.5 inches. They're either 2.5 thick or 3-inch thick. Now this kiln happens to be a 2.5-inch thick kiln. Most of the kilns we're selling nowadays are 3 inches. That extra insulation is going to give you, greater insulation, faster firing time, slower cooling, generally is what people are looking for. Let's take a moment to look at some of the small components on a Skutt kiln. Start with the peephole plugs. Skutt gives you a peep every 4.5 inches down the side of the kiln. Their plugs are slip cast, makes them lightweight, hollow. Advantage to that is when they're hot, you can handle them. The disadvantage, when they fall out, they break pretty easy. As you can see, one's missing here, broke one already. But not a big deal, they're inexpensive to replace. This is kind of cool. Skutt's lid latch is also a lid prop. Put it in the first one and it holds the lid down, and then you can move it up to the second or third one to help you cool your kiln. Let's take a look at Skutt's lid lifter design. The lid is set under tension with coils in the back. Let's actually set it in a second, see how that goes. But for now, I wanted to go over and show you the surface that they put on. The underneath and the top side has this beautiful gray refractory material painted on. I've actually seen them put this on in their facility, and the person putting it on is really an artist. It's a lid that you can actually say is handcrafted. Here's the back side of the Skutt lid, and you can see those two coils. They're not under tension right now. We basically just have to get this bar on the other side of this bar. So I set the lid all the way back at the highest it could go. If you have two people, this is easier to do, but you can do it by yourself. Let's just pull this out. There's a cotter pin there. Slide that out. That's it. If Skutt had an Achilles heel, it would be this, the infamous element pin. Now, in the corner of every single brick, Skutt skillfully installs these pins. They hold the elements in place, and no one does it as good as the manufacturer. I never seem to be able to get them in quite as well. But you will have to remove every single pin when you replace your elements. Because if you don't, you'll end up pulling a chunk of soft brick out. Believe me, I know. You also might be thinking, Mark, I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to pay someone to do it. Fair enough. It's not a fun job to do, but remember, you only do it every 200 firings or so. Let's take a look inside the Skutt KMT1022 control box. It's easy to get into, just 4 screws. And it hinges right open. Your elements are connected to your control wires with these little things. They're called butt connectors. Essentially, it's a hollow metal tube. You will need a tool like this to crimp them down. It's a little extra purchase, but it's not a big deal, and you get to develop your forearms. The thermocouple block is here with the thermocouple wire. Connect it to a nice connection board here. Everything's numbered and labeled. Skutt does give you an extra replacement thermocouple with every kiln, which is kind of nice. You will have to replace those 75, 100 firings. The rest of the controls are hidden behind this baffle wall, so let's take that apart and see what we got. Inside a Skutt control box, you can see here the power's coming in. It's leaving here through a current sensor. I'll get to that in just a bit. That's a cool feature. Going to your relays. These are the little black boxes that make that clicking sound that turns on and off your kiln. Right here is your transformer, and that's converting the 240 volts down to a 24 volts to run your fancy new control board. Back to that current sensor. In every Skutt kiln, they build in a little kiln technician inside your kiln. There's a diagnostics button on your controller that will allow you to figure out which section of your kiln is potentially failing. And that's all happening because of that little current sensor in there. It's just a neat little feature that they didn't have to do, but it's a hidden component that you don't know you're getting in every Skutt kiln. Minor detail, but I kind of like it. It's the Skutt power cord head. It's a Hubble head, it's removable, so if your plug ever does burn out, and they do, you can replace just the head, not the entire power cord. Kind of smart. A few years back, I received a Skutt kiln, and when I was installing it, we noticed the insulation jacket was missing. So I called them up, and the owner of the company called me back immediately, and he explained that his research showed that the insulation jacket on the wire was actually keeping the wire hot, essentially the adverse effect of what they wanted. So they simply removed it. I think that was interesting. It gives you some insight into the Skutt kiln and their engineers and their design philosophy. If it doesn't need to be there, take it away. Less is more. If you're looking for a kiln at a reasonable price point, you like a standard shape, the KMT1022 is a mid-sized kiln. It's not too small, it's not too big. You appreciate the craftsmanship and a company that is leading the pack in technology with some of the best customer support in the industry, then maybe the KMT1022 is the kiln for you.